My name is Sally. I live with my husband Mark and our daughter who is now 5 years old and has become more verbal. I'm a 31 years old working mother. We're not particularly rich or poor, just a normal and very close family, which ended up being hit by the storm. The storm was called Victoria, my mother-in-law. Her husband had passed away, and she had been living alone since. She, Mark, and I agreed not to live together at the beginning of our marriage. It was hassle-free for all of us. Mark was the only son she conceived late in her marriage. 5 years after we got married, she had become quite old, and living alone was becoming a lot harder and more dangerous. Mark took the time to go and see her, but it seemed troublesome for him. Watching him try not to burden me and tackling on his own, I made up my mind to have her moving with us. My loving husband was working hard, and how could I not support him? I put myself together and boldly told him about my decision. He was very surprised and uncertain at first. To be honest, I wasn't certain either, but also knew the situation needed to be implemented. I told him that I won't be able to do much, as I still have to take care of the chores, our daughter, and my work. If anything happened to Victoria, he was basically responsible to care for her. We discussed in length about our plan and then welcomed her into our home.
Thank you so much, Sally. I really appreciate it.
On one spring day, when cherry blossoms were dancing in the wind, she thanked me in tears. Seeing her humble attitude, I thought we were going to live well together. She remained modest in the beginning, but as the days went by, her true nature was revealed. Her bullying started on me, and I realized how wrong my judgment was.
Sally, this tastes too strong for me. Can you dilute it?
If I did as I was told, then she said,
Why did you make it so tasteless? Are you mocking me? How rude.
This was just the beginning.
All my clothes must be washed by hand. The washing machine will damage them. They are all good quality.
When I suggested taking them to dry cleaning, she replied,
Such a waste of money. You're living off of my son's income. You should think more about saving money.
It could have been solved easily if she paid for them from her own pocket, but she seemed not to consider. Well, I was convinced that she was just harassing me as she was smirking the whole time. By the way, this was the introductory level. The intermediate level was like this.
Sally, do you put on makeup? I don't think it helps you much. The base is bad to begin with. My granddaughter is lucky to take my son's look. He looks like me. Hence, she too looks like me. She has a bright future.
And she woke up at 4 in the morning to put on makeup for over 2 hours. She looked like a different person after a shower. I could respect her as a woman for wanting to be beautiful forever, but her foundation was way lighter for her skin tone. She looked like a geisha. Her cheeks were oddly red. Plus, I had a hard time getting her bright red lipsticks off the cups. I knew how rude it was to criticize someone's appearance, so I kept my mouth shut. What I couldn't forgive was that she threw away my precious makeup set so easily. When I came back from work, the whole thing was gone. I asked her why she threw it away.
I've been telling you, haven't I? It doesn't work on your ugly face. Don't waste money on useless things. Save, save, save. Do without makeup from now on. Oh, how caring I am for this family. You better appreciate me.
Never would I ever. If I was in the mountains, I would have screamed my head off. The word never would have echoed many times into her ears. Unfortunately, I wasn't in the mountains. The lame thing was that she only bullied me when we were alone. She chose the time when Mark was at work and our daughter was in preschool. I hesitated to complain to Mark about his mother, but I still wanted him to be aware of it. I mildly expressed my dissatisfaction after much agonizing, but it was useless. "I'll speak to her." When he warned her, she ended up denying in tears. She even went as far as to say that I was trying to frame her. Mark didn't know what to do but was confused. I too had no choice but to roll my eyes. If she refused to own up to her actions, I had a plan. A picture was worth 1,000 words. I decided to secretly record the interactions between her and me and show them to him. When I was thinking about where to hide the camera, the advanced level of bullying started. It was spring when she moved in, and then a hot summer passed, autumn ended, and one day in winter, Mark was away on a business trip for a few days. My daughter was also away, staying with my parents. It was snowing outside. I usually drove my car for work, but I hadn't put chains on my tires, so I took a taxi on that day. After work, I normally cleaned the house, did laundry, and then cooked dinner. Let me repeat. It was the dead of winter and at night. Snow was piling up outside. It was definitely not the right situation to wash clothes by hand. Despite this, Victoria gave me a pile of her laundry with a grin.
Here's my laundry. These are expensive clothes, so you must wash them by hand.
She repeated must because she knew I wasn't going to like it. I wash in warm water.
No, you can. The color will fade and you damage the fabric. You must wash in cold water in the whole time.
I was running out of my patience and thought, it's snowing out, you moron. Are you kidding me? Why should I use cold water on this freezing night? If you care so much, do it yourself. I yelled at her.
How dare you? I'm elderly. Are you serious suggesting I wash these in cold water myself?
I wanna ask if you're serious.
I am always serious.
It was worse if she really meant it. Not expecting that I was going to talk back to her, her face turned red, and she grimaced at me. I wasn't going to step back. Why don't you go outside and check for yourself? You've been wormed inside all day long, so you don't realize, do you? It's snowing a lot and unbelievably cold out.
What the hell? You're telling me to go out in the cold? You're terrible.
What about you then? You demand me to use cold water in this cold. We argued back and forth. I was determined to fight all the way. I felt bad for Mark, but I couldn't be a good wife if I must continue to live with her. I was grimacing at her when she suddenly grabbed my hand tightly. She dragged me while I was taken aback by her strength, which made me doubt her age. And in no time, I was pushed out the front door. When I realized what was going on, the door locked with a thud. Victoria!
No need for a daughter-in-law like you. Get lost.
This is my house. You're the one to leave. My scream was useless. She was determined to lock me outside and ignore my banging on the door. I was in distress and didn't know what to do. Not wearing a coat and not having my kid, but thankfully my phone was in my pocket. I called Victoria. I could hear her phone ring, but she didn't answer. I tried to call Mark, who was supposed to return from his trip that night, but he didn't pick up. I had no choice but to text him. I got locked out of the house by your mom. I'll get hypothermia in the snow. I'll wait for you at a diner nearby. I started walking in the snow. I thought about calling 911, but I didn't want to make a big deal. I was sure Victoria would come up with some excuses to make me look bad. It was better for me to just wait at a diner. I wrapped my arms around my freezing body. My breath hovered around me like smoke. The snow kept falling non-stop and was accumulating on the ground. There was no car or bike passing by. It was nighttime, and there was hardly anyone in sight. I kept moving forward in the quiet darkness. When I finally arrived at the diner, I couldn't believe my eyes. Closed due to the snowstorm. The evacuation spot I reached in desperation was closed. What a night! I chose to go to the police station then. Instead of calling and waiting for them to come, I kept moving with a sense of despair before the heavy snow. The tips of my fingers and toes were numb. When I checked the time on my phone, it had been an hour since I got through out. I called Victoria once again, but she didn't answer. I was walking briskly in the scenery that had completely changed. Help! My feet stopped when I thought I heard something. I was at the beginning of a bridge over a river. I pricked up my ears. Help! What the? I heard it. It was very clear this time. I ran in the direction of the voice. I looked down from the bridge, which wasn't that high, and to my surprise, I saw someone. An old lady was calling for help, lying in a shallow part of the river. I ran down the bank as fast as I could and into the river. Icy water pierced my feet and legs. The coldness turned to pain, but I kept walking toward her. Are you all right? Help me. I can't move. I'm so cold. Are you okay? Stay with me. She must have been relieved to find help, so she leaned against me and passed out. I was in a panic. My feet and legs were frozen and didn't move as I wanted them to. Someone help us! Just when I thought my desperate cries were about to be lost in vain. Oh my God, are you okay? I thought I heard a man's voice, and then Mark showed up. The moment I saw him rushing toward me in a frenzy, I lost consciousness. When I opened my eyes the next time, I saw the white ceiling. Honey, are you awake? Mark hovered over my face with a concerned look. He told me that I was in the hospital. After he dragged the old lady and me out of the river, he called 911. It was the night before, and I had been sleeping since then. Your business trip? Hold on. When you called me, I was still on the plane. I called you back as soon as I landed, but you didn't pick up. There was a long queue for a taxi, so I took a train and was just walking back when I saw you going into the river. What luck! I panicked thinking you were throwing yourself into the river. Well, it seems the old lady did though. Mark told me that she tried to commit suicide because she was depressed about her life. When she hit the water, which was so cold that she came back to herself and tried to get out, but her body was frozen and she was unable to move. If she wasn't found at that time, she might have not made it. So she survived. As I felt relief, I became drowsy again. Sleep. You must be exhausted. Take a good rest. I was reassured by his kind words combined with the warmth of the hospital room. I slowly drifted off to sleep. Burning in anger at Victoria, I was hospitalized for a few days and regained my energy. When I got home in a short while, I frozen in front of it. Victoria never once showered her face while I was in the hospital and of course never apologized. She locked me out in the heavy snow and almost killed me. I honestly couldn't live with her anymore. I opened the front door with a heavy heart. As soon as I stepped inside, I was taken aback by the sight of her. Yikes! Victoria! I wasn't expecting to face her right away.
I'm very sorry, Sally.
I froze in surprise as her voice came into my ears. Pardon me? Unbelievable. She apologized. As I couldn't say anything, she continued.
I didn't imagine you would end up like that. I sincerely regret that I lost my temper and kicked you out. Please forgive me.
She begged in tears. Well, did she really regret it? She was always so condescending to me no matter what. She locked me out in the snow. I was very much skeptical. It was too crazy to think there was no catch. I looked at her with suspicious eyes. What would you do if I said I can't forgive you? Victoria jerked a little. I thought I was going to die from the cold. If Mark didn't find me, who knows how I would have ended up? I would think that anyone with the right mind would have known what was to happen if someone was locked out in such a heavy snowfall. If you say you didn't know, does that mean you are crazy? When I said it full of sarcasm, her face turned red.
What did you say?
She ranted loudly.
Just because I apologized, you tried to make advantage of me. How dare you? Mark said he would end up the cohabitation if I didn't apologize to you, so I had no choice but to obey him. Do you get it? I did what I was told to do, so it's over now. Get to your chores if you understood.
She took my little provocation so easily. I gloated over her true intention. She had no remorse as I expected. I guess people can change overnight. Especially a person like her won't change forever. As if to upset my feelings, she started bullying me right away.
You must wash my clothes in cold water.
She still wanted me to do that.
You must cook only my favorite meals. If it's bad, I will sort it out.
Oh God, no. There was no saving grace for her. I sighed loudly as I turned my face behind me. Honey, what should I do now? Mark stood a short distance away, just out of sight of Victoria. He, my husband and a beloved son of Victoria, had been standing there since the beginning.
Mark, what about your work?
Victoria was stunned by the sight of him. I took a day off to accompany Sally. Anyway, you're not sorry at all, are you?
Oh, no. That was just a joke, of course.
If it really was, it was not funny at all. I told you, didn't I? Be deeply remorseful for what you did and apologize to her. And never do anything like that again.
I did apologize, didn't I?
You bounced back right away and were nasty to her again. I told you that was a joke. It was a very bad joke. I had told Mark to keep distance from me for a bit. Victoria reacted as I expected, or rather, more brilliantly. I couldn't stop laughing at her desperate excuses.
What are you laughing about, Sally? You know you're...
Hey, Mom, I'm talking to you right now. Listen to me.
I'm sorry.
It seemed that even she couldn't evade a scolding of her beloved son. He continued coming down on her, who listened in tears. How can you treat Sally so terribly? She was worried about you and agreed to have you with us.
I was a little out of line earlier, but I never bullied her.
She still tried to deny it.
Well, I did comment on her food a few times, but I just wanted her to know my taste. I told her to take my clothes to the dry cleaner, but she was the one who said it was a waste of money and wanted to wash them herself. When I told her to put some makeup on, she didn't listen and even threw a cosmetics away in front of me. I sometimes wondered if she was being sarcastic.
What was she talking about? It sounded like she didn't want to take any responsibility for all she had done. I had no choice but took out my phone and played back the recording.
These are expensive clothes, so you must wash them by hand.
A clear recording of her voice played. She screamed and tried to take my phone away. I dodged her hand and continued the playback.
You must wash in cold water. No need for a daughter-in-law like you. Get lost.
The sound of her dragging me out and locking the front door, ignoring me calling out to her. All the abuse she said and did that day was recorded. I had this phone in my pocket and was recording. Whenever I had conversation with her, I always set my phone to record mode, so that I could keep evidence of her words and deeds at any cost. My daily action must have brought me a good result. If I didn't have my phone that day, it would have turned out differently. Do you have anything to say? Victoria was agitated. Do you have any last words?
Last words?
Yes.
What do you mean?
This is the end. You trampled on my kindness to take care of you. I want you out of the house.
No way!
I'm cutting ties with you. You go ahead and leave alone. I'll never get in touch with you. I'll ignore you if you try to contact me. I'll never see you again. You still got the money from when you sold your house. If you have a pension on top of it, you can live comfortable without my support.
Wait a minute, Mark. Hold the thought. Are you going to throw me out? Are you betraying your only parent?
You betrayed me. She was speechless to his anger and just slumped her shoulders. The melting snow falling from the roof sounded louder than usual in silence. Then it all happened so fast. Mark and I packed out Victoria's belongings where she was depressed and doing nothing. Her hometown where she was moving to was 2 hours by car from our house. She had some relatives there, but they'd been estranged until now. I suppose no one was going to pay much attention even she came back. She also seemed to have no friends as she never went out when she was with us. I assumed she had a lot of time on her hands that she entertained herself by bullying with me. But it no longer mattered to me.
Bye-bye, Grandma.
My daughter flapped her hands to Victoria. She finally started to cry when she saw her lovely granddaughter not sad to see her go but smiling at her. A taxi carrying her drove off, leaving her sobs behind. It didn't bring up any feelings in me. I was just thinking she got a self-inflicted wound and walked into the house with a refreshed mind. Days and months passed by. Victoria was living alone and lonely. I sometimes received calls from her, so I assumed she was well. We have never met up or spoken to her as declared back then. She will continue to live alone and lonely. The cost of destroying the happiness she received was a high price to pay. I've gotten back peace of mind after she left. I'm serving tea to a surprise visitor as I listen to the sound of the washing machine spinning. My guest is an elderly woman, the same lady I had saved that snowing day. She became pessimistic about her life after living alone for a while and had a lot on her mind. But then she felt the icy river water and wanted to try living a little longer. My son told me to move in with his family. That's great news. His wife is a very nice person, but I don't want to be burdened. So I've decided to move closer to them instead. Oh, I see. My son lives far away, and I don't see him at all. I've been alone and lonely ever since my husband's passed away, and I thought nothing good would come for leaving. But now I know it doesn't have to be that way. I'm very happy to hear that. As long as I'm alive,
I will leave. I'm very thankful to you for rescuing me that day."
We smiled at each other. The old lady lived hard, alone and lonely, and found happiness. Victoria voluntarily disrupted her own cohabitation with her family. There are many ways to spend retirement. Everyone is different. But depending on your attitude, it can be happy or unhappy. Looking at the two old women, I have a vague idea of what I want my future to be like. I remind myself how I should live in order to keep my current peaceful and happy life, and to have a happy retirement.
My husband threatens to divorce me for not doing housework as I was hospitalized, so I agree to it.
Well then, you better understand one thing here. Go on, tell me. Next time you ignore to do your chores, then we will get a divorce. Oh my! You'd be in trouble if we get a divorce, right? You have no other family and you're a loner, right? I have no other family and I'm a loner, huh? I see how it is. My husband, Fred, placed the divorce papers on the table in front of me confidently. Oh, so it is all filled out. Wow, it's true. Our kids looked at each other and instantly began to take action. Huh? Our kids snatched the divorce papers in their hands quickly. You want to divorce me, right? Huh? Oh, yeah, that's right. If you're going to skip and ignore to do any house chores, I'm divorcing you. Fine. Huh? Let's get a divorce. My name is Judy. I've been married to my husband Fred for 25 years. We have been blessed with 2 children. To say that my husband is an old-fashioned person sounds too good to be true. He is a quiet man who supports his family as the main breadwinner of the family. But actually, he's the type of person who nags and forces me to go to work, and he is also the type of person who also makes me take care of everything about the house, including doing all the house chores. Fortunately, before marrying Fred, I lived on my own for a long time and worked hard to save money. So it was not really hard for me to take care of the house. And above all, I thoroughly devoted myself to housework for the sake of our children, Jack and John. Thanks to my efforts, both Jack and John grew up to be successful adults. And last year, the younger one, John, left home to live on his own. I was a stay-at-home mom until both of our kids reached middle school. The reason for this being that it was simply because Fred wanted me to be a stay-at-home mom. After graduating from university, I worked at a publishing company for a long time. But when I was in my 20s, both my parents passed away one after the other. Losing both of my parents, and as an only child, I had no other families and I was left all alone in this world. If my parents had any siblings, we might have had a chance to get to know each other as a family. But both of them didn't have any sisters or brothers, and both of my grandparents also had passed away. I was really all alone. And that was when I met my husband. He came in as I was smoking a cigarette in the smoking room, and he began to refill the vending machines for drinks. Then, seeing me, he approached me with a bottle of drink. This is a new product that our company will come up with at the end of the month. If you wouldn't mind it, would you like to try it? Oh, thank you very much, I will. This was how we first met, and that was how our first conversation went. But after meeting several times, we became pretty close, and this developed into a relationship. And then I learned that he had a dream. When I heard about his dream, I felt that I really wanted to support him from the bottom of my heart. His dream was to become a novelist. I had the opportunity to read one of the work he had written, and I thought that it was quite good for his first novel. Since I worked in a publishing company, I told him that I would talk to his editor about possibility of publishing his work, but he stubbornly refused. As I thought that him thinking that was a waste, I felt he had great talent, and I became more and more attracted to him. And over time, we got married, and 25 years have passed since then. However, he never made it big as a novelist. I found out that what he had written was actually written by a friend of my husband's. I found out about that when my younger son was just 5 years old. I heard about the novel, which was published from another publishing company, because it was getting popular. So I read it to know what the hype was, and found that it was exactly the same as the one my husband had shown me. At that time, I finally understood that my husband had tricked me about it. If this was all true, I would have accused him of plagiarism, but I didn't. I would never do that because, actually, Fred had never written a novel since we got married. I could immediately feel and determine that Fred had plagiarized the work. But by this time, our kids had already been born. And my husband, for some reason, kept me from becoming a publisher and made me quit my work at the publishing company. But I decided to turn a blind eye to that, as long as our kids would grow up with no problem. I am beyond grateful that my husband and I got married and that we were able to have kids. But to be honest, this marriage has been a difficult one for me. My husband basically forced me to quit my job and made me become a full-time housewife. But he is the one who still controls the family finance. So, my husband gives me the money for living expenses, but for the past 25 years, I have received only $500 a month for living expenses. Saving money is not hard, but it would be impossible to cover food and utilities for a family of 4 with only that amount. I have tried several times to negotiate with Fred about it, but he insists that he can't give me more than the amount he's been giving me, and couldn't get anywhere with the negotiation. So, I began to use my savings I made before I married Fred, and used it mainly on our kids. I got vegetables that were on sale and meat that were half-priced in grocery stores for Fred's meals only, and cooked meals for him with those ingredients as a way of showing how I would oppose to his arguments. Once I got the cheap ingredients from the grocery stores, I would put them immediately into the freezer. I am sure that the quality and the taste wouldn't be that good as compared to the normal ones, but once I do that, I would feel much more at ease. Of course, I made sure that our kids ate well. The savings I have before I married Fred were for our kids. But the $300,000 that I had as my savings were gone as soon as my younger son graduated from college. I am truly relieved that I was able to spend my savings without our kids having to feel that it was never enough for them. I think my husband was really selfish. He had forced me to quit my job and focus on house chores. But when the kids started middle school, he insisted that I work. But I was reluctant to do so. It wasn't because I didn't want to work. I actually did want to work. But it was because I couldn't forgive my husband's selfishness at all. I knew that if I started working here, he would stop providing any of his money for the family. He would spend the money he earned on whatever he wanted to do with it, as if it was all for his own. I just couldn't allow Fred to do that. But when my husband saw me reluctant about his suggestion, he began to say such horrible things like removing me from his support system. I truly hated the fact that he was so selfish. But it turned out to be actually a good thing for me. Now that I'm off his support system, no matter how much money I earn from my work, Fred will never know how much I'd earn. And my husband goes to work early in the morning and doesn't come home until late at night. Even if I start working, he will probably never find out. And in the end, he still never found out that I was actually working. And I think it kind of helped that my husband was a man who only cared about himself. He was also oblivious about things like pension and so on. If he wasn't so oblivious, then he'd know that there was no way we could afford it all just with $500. Now that both our kids left our home, now it was my time to spend time and live my life with my husband. But I couldn't imagine such future with Fred. So I had thought of getting a divorce with my husband once the kids were married. But just as I was thinking about that, I got hospitalized. It all started when I went to the hospital for an annual medical checkup. The name of the disease was uterine fibroid, and the doctor told me that I would have to have my uterus removed completely. It was quite a shock to hear that, but there was no other way. I still wanted to watch my kids grow up, and there were still some things that I wanted to do. After consulting with the doctor and the kids, I agreed to have it removed. From next week for 5 days, I'll be gone. I informed Fred while I served him his dinner.
Huh? What are you saying?
I'm getting a surgery.
Yeah, but why for 5 days? What about money? How much does it cost?
It's all about money again. My husband was worried about money instead of me getting the surgery. Don't you worry about the surgery fee. I'll pay with the savings I made this whole time.
What? You have secret savings and you didn't tell me about it? So much for using my money, huh? I guess giving you $500 per month was too much. From next month, I'll only give you $300.
Anyways, I'll be gone from next week.
You eat all my money up.
I am no longer emotionally affected by these horrible words. Over the past 25 years, I was able to learn to ignore some things that Fred says. The day before the surgery, I was admitted to the hospital, and the next day the surgery was held and it was a success. While I was lying in bed, both our sons came running to me.
Mom, are you okay?
Yes, thank you. I'm fine.
But don't you look a little pale?
I guess so, but it's because I just woke up from the anesthesia. I'm sorry I worried you. I'm fine, so you can go back to work now.
Don't worry, we're both taking a half day off today.
Oh really? Thank you.
Mom, do you want a hamburger? You must be hungry, right?
Oh my, you got it just for me? Thank you. But, you know, I can only eat hospital food after my surgery. I'll just take it as a courtesy. Both of our sons worked hard and stayed with me until just before visiting hours were finished. They really both have grown up to be kind and gentle. But on the third day in the hospital, I received a call from Fred every 5 minutes. Thinking that maybe something wrong had happened to Fred, I let out a huge sigh. Yes, what is it?
You! How long are you going to be out of the house?
I'll be out of the hospital in 2 days.
No, I won't allow it. You better come home now.
Oh, please, don't be unreasonable. I can't leave the hospital yet.
I'm being forced to pay extra living expenses because you're slacking off on your house chores.
Oh, really?
I'll be collecting $200 from you.
$200 for being away from home for just 5 days? That's quite a wild estimate. Anyways, I'm in a hospital room right now and there are other patients around me, so I'll turn off my phone. I'll be back home in 2 days.
Hey!
This is the moment I realized once again what a noisy and inconsiderate person Fred is. I want to praise myself for having spent 25 years with this person. Well, I only have to hold on a little longer. I will be free once my kids get married. But first, let's have him give me back my little freedom back. When I returned home after leaving the hospital, my husband was waiting for me at home, even though it was weekday. Oh, you're here. But I knew that this would happen. My husband had taken time off from work just to blame me for everything I haven't been doing.
Hey, you sit here.
Please wait a moment. I'll wash my hands now.
I don't care about that. Hurry up and sit down.
No, I don't want to. If I get an infection from this, I'll have to blame you. My husband then waits for me while tapping his foot non-stop. Well then, thank you for waiting.
$200.
Ah, yes, that's right. Here you go. My husband snatched the money out from my hand. What a crude person he is.
Tell me how you're reflecting about what you had done this time.
Reflecting? Well, I can't say that this is all due to ignoring about my health, and it's really hard to say that food had anything to do with it. If I had to say this, then I'd say that it was destined to happen.
What are you talking about?
Yes, I'm just saying that I've been reflecting about this illness I had.
That's not what I meant.
Oh, well, what else should I be sorry for?
I was talking about how you skipped out on your house chores.
Oh, that. Well, wait a minute. I think they should be home soon.
Huh? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about our kids.
Huh? Why are they coming back here?
I asked them to because I wanted them to see what was going on this time. And it's pretty important, you know. Then Fred began to grin. In my husband's mind, he probably thought that he can show off about what a father is like to the kids after a long time. People who only sees themselves and are just too selfish are easy to deal with because their actions are so simple and easy to read. 10 minutes later, both of our sons arrived, and our conversation resumed.
You seem awfully excited. Well, I'll listen if you want to talk first. Listen up, boys. Don't ever get a wife like your mother here. You'll just have a hard time.
A hard time? Like what?
Like how you are right now. You oppose against me every single time.
I just want to know how you're feeling and what you're thinking about. If we are a couple, then it is only natural that we want to know about each other.
Well then, you better understand one thing here.
Go on, tell me.
Next time you ignore to do your chores, then we will get a divorce.
Oh my!
You be in trouble if we get a divorce, right? You have no other family and you're a loner, right?
I have no other family and I'm a loner, huh? I see how it is. My husband, Fred, placed the divorce papers on the table in front of me confidently.
Oh, so it is all filled out. Whoa, it's true.
Our kids looked at each other and instantly began to take action.
Huh?
Our kids snatched the divorce papers in their hands quickly. You want to divorce me, right?
Huh? Oh, yeah, that's right. If you're going to skip and ignore to do any house chores, I'm divorcing you.
Fine.
Huh?
Let's get a divorce. The reason I had the kids come over today was to discuss about divorcing you. I was going to wait until the kids were married before divorcing you, but you seem to want a divorce now, and look at the kids' faces. They seem to agree with the divorce too, so I will file these divorce papers.
No, wait a minute. How are you, a housewife, going to live all on your own after divorcing me? Don't pretend to act so strong.
Do you really think that just $500 a month will cover the pension, tax, insurance, and all that, plus food and utilities? It's impossible. I've been working since the day when you removed me from your support system. Oh, don't worry. I have no intention of receiving any property from you with your small salary. The fact that you gave me these divorce papers is enough as a gift from you. Well then, I'll pick up my belongings on another day.
Hey, wait! What kind of work are you doing?
I'm an editor. One of the author I'm in charge of is the author of a piece that you plagiarized. Well then, please take care.
Wait a minute.
My husband tried desperately to snatch the divorce papers away, but my kids' defenses were much more stronger. My second son tackled him and we were able to leave the house without any problems. And my divorce was successfully finalized. But my ex-husband was a man who was obsessed with money until the end. When he found out that I earned more than he did, he insisted on sharing common property. Well, it was what I had expected anyways. He destroyed my last act of mercy with his own hands. I hired a lawyer and told my ex-husband that I was suing him for financial abuse and moral harassment. He flatly denied that this was all true, but when I provided him with the family financial book, which had a record of the whole 25 years, he caved in easily. He desperately pleaded me to spare him only a trial, but there was no need to listen to him. I sued him without mercy. The result was an overwhelming victory. He had been spending his hard-earned money on other things, and so he could not afford a decent lawyer, and the case was settled almost entirely on our terms. In the end, he ended up having to pay me $20,000 as alimony without getting any of the common property. If he had quietly backed down, there would have been no consequences. I felt as if my 25 years had been paid off just with $20,000, but basically, I have absolutely no regrets about marrying him. In fact, I am more grateful. It is because of him that I was able to meet such wonderful kids. After the divorce, my ex-husband seems to be in frequent contact with the kids, but they would tell me that they will never see him again. That's true. My ex-husband has never cooperated with the kids in any way. I don't think they will ever open up to him even if he comes on to them now. He contacted me once, but after court, I never had anything to do with him again. I didn't answer the call and I rejected it. What I am looking forward to now is that my kids are getting married and having grandchildren. I will save my money so that I can do all kinds of things for my grandchildren. This is exactly what you would call a satisfying middle-aged divorce. I fully respect Judy's enduring attitude. I hope you will be able to live a stress-free life from now on. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.
My husband travels with my mother-in-law with a ticket I won at a contest as a result.
Alright then. Well, I'm gonna go to the trip with my mom. You stay at home, okay?
Huh? I was completely speechless. But this is the prize which I won at the contest, you know? Besides, if the winner doesn't use the ticket, then that ticket would be invalid. I tried to say that, but my husband, Mike, says something so outrageous over what I was trying to say.
If you don't like it, then we'll get a divorce.
Excuse me?
I'm saying that if you can't obey with what I'm saying, then we'll get a divorce.
My affectionate feelings that I had for my husband instantly cooled down with these words. My name is Sasha, and I am a 30-year-old office worker. I went to an all-girls school from middle school until university and entered the society without ever having had a proper conversation with a man. And my work was so busy that I didn't have time to fall in love at all, and before I knew it, I was 25 years old. I thought this was a bad idea, so a friend of mine took the initiative and set up a blind date for me. And then I had my first boyfriend, who was a freelancer, but lied about being an office worker, and also became unemployed after we started to date. I realized that he was going to completely depend on me and live off of me, so I broke up with him as soon as I could. Because my first boyfriend was such a person like that, I became even more of averse to men and couldn't trust men that easily. Therefore, I finally reached the age of 30 without having any boyfriend at all. My parents were even more worried about me than I was. Both my father and mother had already been married for several years when they were my age, so they were feeling quite impatient as well. Nowadays, it is not too late to get married in 30s, but back then, the latest age a person could get married was around 25 years old. So, my father brought several offers of arranged marriages to me, saying that if I didn't have any boyfriend or partner, he would find one for me. At first, I turned them all down several times, but gradually, I felt bad about continuing to turn down the offers that my father would bring me. Besides, I felt with my own skin that both my father and mother wished me, their only daughter, to be happy. That's why I decided to take it positive and go on a blind date to show my parents that I am also grateful of them. That is when I met Mike, who later became my current husband. Mike is 30 years old, and he was the same age as me. He too had attended a boys' school all his life and had never had a chance to fall in love with a girl. What I liked about him was that he was very protective of his parents and took very good care of them. Even after he became an adult, he regularly visits his parents' house, gifts them trips, and goes on trips with them. He seems to have a good personality and works properly in a company. I've gotten his business card and I've made sure of it. I was very cautious because I had made a mistake with my previous boyfriend. Even though I was being cautious and checking carefully, there seemed to be nothing strange about Mike. I'm sure he's fine. That's what I thought to myself, and the two of us continued to date. He took the lead, as I was shy, and took very good care of me. I became more and more attracted to him. After 2 years of dating, Mike proposed to me, and we got married. My parents were crying and was being very happy when they heard that I was finally getting married. I truly felt that not only had I met a good man, but I was also very happy to have been able to take care of my parents like this. And after the wedding ceremony, we went on our honeymoon and started our life happily as a husband and wife. Since my husband and I were both working, we shared the housework. My husband is not a good cook, so I did the cooking, and he did the laundry and cleaning. We got along well as a couple, and I think we had a happy married life supporting each other. But after just 1 year of marriage, things changed. It all started when my father-in-law passed away due to an illness. After that, my husband began to care excessively about my mother-in-law, Bianca, who was left all alone. On Mike's days off, he would go to his parents-in-law's house to visit Bianca, and he and Bianca would sometimes go out together on their own. Sometimes he drops by Bianca's house after work and eats dinner on his own with her. And sometimes he would go on a trip with just Bianca. I saw my husband leaving on the morning of the trip with his travel bag, and I had asked him cluelessly if he was going on a business trip. But to that, he would say, "No, I'm traveling with my mother to New York." I was really surprised to hear that at that time. First of all, I just couldn't believe that he was going to go on a trip without letting me know about it, and then to keep quiet about it. If I hadn't asked, he wasn't going to tell me, huh? No matter how much you care about your own mother, can you really disrespect your own wife like that? That's how I felt. It's not that he totally ignores me, but to this extent, I think he has gone beyond being family-oriented to being a mama's boy. But even so, my husband does not seem to want to change his attitude or lifestyle. In fact, I don't think he even thinks how he's acting is wrong. In any case, I decided to compromise and spend my time with him for the time being, thinking that this was how he was. If we divorced after only 1 year of marriage, I would really feel bad for my parents, and if we had a child, my husband's attitude might change again. It's not right to divorce so easily. I spent my days thinking like that. I also decided to take up a hobby of my own, and have recently become addicted to entering in contests to get prizes. I have been entering various contests, getting prizes, and writing reviews, which is surprisingly fun. And if I keep at it, I often win prizes like cosmetics and food. And then, on one of the contests I entered in, I won a pair of airline tickets to Guam. I was so surprised that I had to reread my email about 3 times because I had never won such a big prize before. I checked the contents of the email thoroughly, just to make sure that it wasn't a fraud. It didn't seem to take me to any suspicious links, nor did it ask me for my credit card number or anything like that. So that means that I really won the Guam trip. It seems that I have to contact the airline in advance to redeem the travel tickets. Who should I go with? My husband just recently went on a trip to New York with Bianca. Shall I ask my friends or my parents? Ah, yes, I thought to myself, and I decided to give this travel tickets to my parents for them to enjoy the trip. Then I went to my parents' house and informed them about it. Well, it's been years since we traveled abroad. Are you sure about this? This is something that you won, Sasha. It's okay, don't worry about it. Let me at least spoil you guys once in a while. Alright, well, thank you. I'm glad to see my parents be happy like that. I thought so, but... Huh? What's wrong, Dad? This ticket is valid only for the person who won the tickets and is non-transferable and you're not allowed to sell it, is what it says here. What? Does that mean I can't give this as a gift to you both?
Yeah, it seems so.
Oh man. Ah well, it can't be helped. Well, you did win it, honey, so why don't you go with Mike? Since my parents said so, I finally decided that I'd go with my husband. And when I came home from my parents' house that night, I found a woman's coat by the front door. This coat looked familiar. Yes, it was Bianca's coat. When I went to the living room, I saw Bianca watching the TV. Oh, Sasha, did you just get home? It's your day off, so what were you doing out so late at night? Oh, I'm sorry. I had no idea that you came here, Bianca. Oh, what are you trying to say? Is it wrong of me to come to my son's house? No, it's not. I think Bianca was a little kinder to me when my father-in-law was still alive, but ever since he passed away, she has been very strict and cold to me. Oh, what's this? What did you buy? Bianca seemed to have noticed the bag I had on my arm. In the bag was a guidebook for a trip to Guam that I bought on my way home. Oh, this is nothing. Just show it to me. Huh? Why? Just show it! And saying that, Bianca forcibly took the bag from me. Huh? Guam? Are you just trying to treat yourself? What are you doing with Mike's earnings? Huh? What the hell is she saying? I've never ever depended on Mike's earning like this before. I won a pair of travel tickets in a contest, so I thought I would go on the trip with my husband. Oh, really? Is that so? Wow, a prize, huh? Bianca suddenly changed her mood and got excited. I have a bad feeling about this. Then my husband came into the living room. Apparently, he was taking a bath.
Oh, Sasha, welcome back. I mean, what's wrong? I heard my mother's happy voice all the way from the bath.
Oh, Mikey, listen. Sasha won a trip to Guam in a contest.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. So I decided to go with you, Mike, and I bought a guidebook for that too.
How many people can go on that trip?
It's a pair of travel tickets, so it would just be the two of us. My husband fell silent for a bit and looked over at Bianca's face. Bianca seems to suck up to my husband, showing her eyes widely like a dog waiting to be fed.
Okay, well then, I'm gonna go to the trip with my mom. You stay at home, okay?
Huh? I was just completely speechless. I had no idea that Mike was this much of a mama's boy. This is what I won from the contest, you know.
So what? We're a couple, so what's yours is mine, right? And what's mine is my mom's.
No, what kind of logic does he have? No way. Besides, you and Bianca just went on a trip just a few weeks ago.
This and that has nothing to do with each other.
Yes, that's right. Mike paid for that one, and besides, it was a domestic trip. I haven't been on an overseas trip in years. Wow, I'm so excited. She's already planning to go, huh? Hey, I didn't even agree to the fact that you both will be the ones going to the trip, you know. Besides, that ticket would be invalid if the winner won't be there. I was about to say so, but my husband says something outrageous, trying not to hear what I was about to say.
If you don't like it, then we'll get a divorce.
Excuse me?
I said, if you can't listen and obey to what I say, then we'll get a divorce.
I never thought he would say that. With these words, my affectionate feelings toward my husband instantly cooled down. I understand how it is. Do whatever you want.
Then why didn't you just say so quickly? You're just so selfish.
Both Mike and Bianca looked victorious, as if they had won a huge fight. Then, while reading the guidebook they had taken from me, they began to happily plan out their travel plans together. And I was beginning to think about my post-divorce plans. Later on, my husband told me to make sure I contacted the airline, so I did as I was told. But it was just a confirmation. I'm not allowed to give away these tickets to your own husband or other relatives even if I can't go, right? When I asked that, the operator replied,
I'm sorry, but you're not allowed to give away the tickets even to your family or your relatives.
Well, of course, that makes sense. Hearing that, I told the operator, well then, I would like to decline the airline tickets that I won in the contest, and hung up the phone. Then I told my husband, I called for you and here are the terms and conditions in the tickets, so please check the details. Then my husband scoffed as he said, I don't have to read the terms and conditions, and left the tickets on the shelf. It probably would never have occurred to him that those tickets were invalid. I reported this incident to my parents. I asked them to help me because I wanted to make the day of Mike and Bianca's trip the day I moved out from the house. After hearing what had happened, my father was shocked and said,
I never thought that Mike was such a person like that.
I mean, it was my father who brought up the idea of the arranged marriage with Mike, so that's why he was more shocked. It's not your fault, Dad. He just started to show who he really was recently, you know. I made my father try not to worry that it was his fault and calmed him down. On the day of the trip, my husband was in a great mood and was getting ready to leave. I was also looking forward to seeing how he and Bianca would react at the airport.
Well, I'm off then. Take care of the house while I'm gone.
Mike says so with a huge grin on his face. Yeah, have fun. My husband looked a little surprised as I saw him off with a huge smile on my face. Then, right after my husband left, my parents arrived to the house. They carried my belongings into the car and we went over to the new place I was going to move into. I had actually started looking for a room the moment I became fed up with my husband. I found a nice apartment near my office and decided to move into it immediately. I moved my belongings and got a comfortable and quiet room. About 2 hours later, my husband called me. Hello?
Oh, hey, what's going on? They said that our airline tickets are invalid.
Well, yes, that's right. If the winner doesn't accompany, then the tickets are invalid.
Huh? I didn't hear anything about that.
I told you, didn't I? I told you to check the terms and condition. It's all written right there.
You've got to be kidding me. I wouldn't even read that.
Well then, that's just your fault for not reading it, right? It's the same as someone who gets sued and says they didn't know anything about the law.
Then what am I supposed to do? I already got a hotel in Guam. They told me I'd have to pay for our own ticket fees.
Like I said, it's none of my business anymore, so you and Bianca should just take care of it. I said that and hung up the phone. Then 10 minutes later, my husband called again. What now?
Hey, why can't I pay with your card?
Huh? My card? What do you mean?
The card that you're using as a sub.
With panic, I checked the drawers and found out that my card, which I have been using as a sub, was gone. You took the card without my permission?
I was only borrowing it for a little while. But I was told by the airline staff that I can't use this card. What the hell is going on?
Are you stupid? If you're not the owner of the card, you can't use it.
But in the internet...
Huh? Internet?
Oh, no.
And he hanged up the phone. No way. I immediately checked my credit card statement for the credit card I used as a sub, and I found a list of unknown statement that I had no recollection of using it. Then I remembered that my husband had been buying a lot of clothes and other things recently. He must have used my card to get those without my permission. I immediately stopped the card, and I took a screenshot of the statement history. With this, I will definitely charge him later. A few days later, I received a call from my husband after his 3 days and 2 nights trip to Guam.
Hey, what is the meaning of this? I don't see any of your stuff and belongings in our house anymore. And you left the divorce papers on the table. What the hell are you thinking?
Well, I mean what I mean. I can't go on living with a mama's boy like you who prioritizes his own mother and ignores his own wife. And to a thief like you using my credit card without any permission.
What?
If you won't sign the divorce papers, then let's fight over court.
Court?
Oh, are you in trouble?
If people at work finds out about this...
I see, then I'll request my divorce through my lawyer, so you better quietly obey to the request.
No way.
My husband reluctantly accepted the terms and agreed to the divorce. He agreed to divorce me on the condition that there would be no division of property and that he would also pay me for the credit card bills he used without my permission. But my revenge does not end there. I wouldn't say anything about what had happened, but I didn't know what my father, who had brought this marriage proposal to me, would do or say. And sure enough, my ex-husband called me.
Hey, this is not what we agreed on. Everyone at work knows about what happened. Now, they talk about me behind my back and I'm known as a mama's boy and a thief. And now, I can't walk with my head held high in my company.
Oh, what a pity. But I didn't say anything about any of this, you know. Did you forget that so many people were involved in our marriage?
Oh.
Yes, this marriage was set up through a connection between my father, who is a general manager of the department in a company, and my ex-husband's boss, who is a department head in his company. My father and my ex-husband's boss were great friends, and our blind date was set up from the fact that my ex-husband's boss had a good bachelor staff who was working under him. So this means that hearing what had happened, my ex-husband's boss was very angry with my ex-husband over this matter. It seems like Mike has been removed from the career track and is being looked at coldly by all the employees around him. As for Bianca, it seems that this incident was leaked out to her neighbors, and all the neighbors has started to avoid her too, so she now shuts herself inside the house. Well, they both got what they deserved, so I have no sympathy for them whatsoever. As for me, I put in a lot of effort at work and got a promotion. I got a raise in salary too, so to celebrate, I took my parents on an overseas trip. We went to Italy, which we all had wanted to go to for a long time, and made good memories as a family. A lot had happened this time, but I would like to use it as food for thought to find a good man and find a better love next time. I am surprised that he was not only a mama's boy, but also a thief. If it comes to that point, there is nothing anyone can do for him anymore. I'm glad Sasha's family got along well and finally got to go on a family vacation to Italy. I hope Sasha, who is kind and family-oriented, will find someone better and wonderful. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.
My husband orders me to do house chores, so my mother-in-law tells me to leave him and...
You forgot to make me my lunch. The wife should never slack off with her house chores.
My ears hurt from his scorching scream. Huh?
You forgot to make me my lunch, huh? The wife should never slack off with her house chores.
Come again?
You can hear what I'm saying.
All I heard was, you forgot to make me my lunch. The wife should never slack off with her house chores. That's all I heard. But I didn't hear what you said after that.
Well, that's all I had to say.
Oh, okay. Well, so? And then what?
You forgot to make me my lunch.
And you forgot what we talked about, didn't you? My name is Lisa, and I live with my husband, Paul, and our 2 children. My 3-year-olds are too energetic every day. We are blessed with twins. I consider it a miracle that they both turned 3 years old with no problems. I was raising 2 mischievous kids, and as every day was very busy and hectic, I always felt like physically I was about to fall apart. Maybe that's why I don't really remember how I managed to raise them until they were 3 years old. However, once they began to understand the words, they began to understand what I was saying. And now we spend a lot of time playing together. And I gradually began to feel more relaxed about raising our kids. My husband, Paul, is a company employee, and Paul's family runs a cake shop in our town's shopping district. Recently, I have been helping out at the cake shop with our kids. I began helping out in the hope that it would be of some help to Paul's parents, but now I find it quite enjoyable. When I first started, I mostly served customers, but recently I have been put in charge of making custard pudding under the guidance of my parents-in-laws, Jane and Phil. I am quite enjoying it and addicted to this job. But my husband, Paul, has no interest in his own parents' cake shop. He is just not at all interested in baking and eating cakes. Hey, are you sure you don't want to take over your parents' cake shop? You're talking about that again? There's no way I can take over the shop now. I haven't even had any training. Oh? So you're saying that you're willing to take over the business if you can get some training?
Ugh, that's not what I meant. I'm not going to take over the shop, no matter what anyone says. Because there's no future to it. You know that, right? The number of people visiting the shopping district is decreasing year by year. And because of that, recently, there are stores which are closing for good. And when I think that if I'm the cake shop owner, that's just impossible and unimaginable.
Why not?
Because it's embarrassing. Why would a grown man like me have a cake shop? I don't want to do that.
Well, it's true that there are stores which are closing for good. It is also true that the number of people in the shopping district is decreasing every year. I wonder if it's because of the large shopping mall which just recently opened nearby. But still, I think my parents-in-law's cake shop is doing quite well. Their weekday sales are not too bad, and especially their holiday sales are quite good. And above all, the cakes that Paul's parents make are very delicious. It is a shame to see that not many people get to have the taste of their delicious cakes. Even though I have thought about it a lot, the store will probably be gone someday, as there is no one to take it over. I felt very sad thinking about that. And my husband has zero interest in helping out his own parents at the cake shop. There is one place where Paul goes on his days off. Good morning. Are you going there again today? I call out to my husband, who has been rushing around in the morning getting ready for the day.
Oh, we're going for the big one today.
Well, he's in a good mood since this morning. Paul loves making bets through horse racing and boat racing. On his days off, he always goes to one or the other.
You. What? What's with that face?
What do you mean?
You're bringing down my morale. If I lose, it's all your fault.
Huh?
You know, you should just let me do what I want on my own day offs. I'm working full-time on weekdays to feed you and the kids.
If he says that, then I have 0 days off having to deal with the twins, though. It is true that my husband's earnings keep our family running. But when we first got married, I intended to continue my job. But that's when Paul said,
I'll work so hard that you won't have to put in all the hard work. You'll just have to take care of the family.
I believed his words and devoted myself to taking care of the house, giving birth to our kids, and even raising the twins on my own. How dare he talks to me about doing what he wants to do on his day offs? Well, it's true I do help my husband's family business because I like it. And I accept that I am tired in my own way. But the fact that my husband is putting all his energy and money into what he only likes to do, that's not funny. Saying what he wanted to say, Paul left the house happily. And I take the twins and head to my in-laws' house. Lisa, thank you for coming in today too. Lisa, you really help us out a lot. As you can see, my mother-in-law Jane is a very kind person. And I'm so happy to see our adorable grandchildren. My father-in-law Phil is a quiet man, but he is smiling right next to Jane. I really wonder if Paul is actually their son. Jane always expresses her gratitude, but not once has my husband expressed his gratitude to me ever. Aside from my husband, I love both Jane and Phil. In fact, I think both Jane and Phil wants my husband to take over their cake shop. I could feel their hopes and sentiment from time to time. It's already enough that Lisa became our family to be Paul's wife. I'm really grateful. Jane would say this from time to time as if she was telling herself that. And Jane is such an understanding person who listens to me very carefully. Oh, Lisa, I'm sorry that Paul is being so selfish. Oh no, it's okay. Please don't worry so much. You know, Lisa, Paul is my son, but you have also become our daughter. If there's anything Paul's not doing right or he's being unfair, and if you're having a hard time, you can always talk to me about it. Thank you very much. Jane says this to me, but I couldn't really complain about her own son. I am really happy that she calls me her daughter, but I guess it is not pleasant for her to hear me say bad things about her own son, who is still related by blood. Like this, my relationship with my in-laws are good, but my relationship with my husband is not so good. My dissatisfaction towards my husband gradually built up. And then came December, one of the busiest seasons that comes twice a year for the cake shop. My in-laws and I discussed about how to proceed with December, and we decided that I would stay over at their place this year to help prepare the cakes. Hey, it's before Christmas, but I want to come in and help your parents with their cake shop, so I'll be staying at their place. Huh? You see, December is their busiest season. Yeah, so? What do you mean, so? It's not that easy with just the two of them at the shop, right? If I go and help out, we can finish preparing to make the cakes earlier, and they can get some rest too. Yeah, but why do you have to stay over? Why don't you just come back when you're finished for the day? You've seen how hard it is during the busy season since you were a kid, right? I can help out early in the morning and stay late at night if I stay overnight. No, that's fine, but that's something you can also do without having to stay the night over there. Do you want me to take the kids and travel early in the morning and late at night? Of course, that's impossible. Huh? They can already walk, though. They can walk, but then what? Listen. My husband sighed deliberately. What are you going to do about the house? Who's going to cook for my dinner? How old are you now? Huh? I'm asking, how old are you? Oh, yes, I'm 32. A 32-year-old man worrying about his dinner? No, I meant... Speak up. No, I'm fine. I'm sorry, I'll take care of it myself. You should go to my parents' place to help them out, Lisa, please. Okay, I see. Well then, that's that. On the appointed day, I went over to Phil and Jane's house. It was a good decision to go to their house on that day. There was a large pre-order for the whole Christmas cake and more orders for custard pudding than usual. We finished up the work in the evening and went to sleep in preparation for a full day of work tomorrow. Then, the next day, we started preparing from sunrise. While the twins were sleeping, I was working silently. In no time, we noticed that it was getting lighter outside. When the twins woke up, I decided to pause the work and have breakfast. When we finished breakfast, the twins were unusually quiet as they watched us work. I wonder if they understood that we were busy. After watching us work for a while, they played quietly in the entrance hallway, which we could see from the kitchen. Then, when we were about to take a lunch break, my phone rang. I got a call from Paul. Oh, I wonder what he wants. Hello? You forgot to make me my lunch. The wife should never slack off with her house chores. My ears hurt from his scorching scream. Huh? You forgot to make me my lunch, huh? The wife should never slack off with her house chores. Come again? You can hear what I'm saying. All I heard was, you forgot to make me my lunch. The wife should never slack off with her house chores. That's all I heard. But I didn't hear what you said after that. Well, that's all I had to say. Oh,
Okay. So, and then what? You forgot to make me my lunch. And you forgot what we talked about, didn't you? Do your chores properly. Huh? Why are you tripping over your own words? Just do your chores. Your chores. Oh, honey. Somebody is there with you, right? No one's here. What a liar. If you're pretending to be that bossy, then there must be a girl nearby. To that, my husband began to cough. You know, I know you're an old man trying to show the young girls how cool you are, but it's not working at all. See ya later, you old man who is so full of himself. Saying that, I hung up the phone. Well, I can't really say anything because I'm an old lady too, but oh well. Oh, crap! I was so irritated at Paul that I forgot the most important thing. Paul's parents are currently right behind me. Oh no, I can't believe I did that in front of them. I turned around to face them while trembling with fear. Then, Jane began to laugh out loud. Oh, how satisfying! Huh? Yep, I knew it. You're a good wife, Lisa. I was always worried that Paul was always harassing or abusing you. But Lisa, you've got it completely under control. I'm pretty competitive, you see. Hey, Lisa, why don't you just get rid of him? What? You were already fed up of him, weren't you? I've been married to Phil for a long time, so I can understand. Huh? Honey, that's a bit... Oh, I didn't mean to cause any misunderstanding. I love you, Phil. Oh, phew. I was so surprised. And well, me too. Aw, they're so close. I looked at them both while thinking that. I can tell, you know, that it's only natural for the wife of Paul to be fed up with him. I told you before, right? He is indeed our son, but you are also our daughter. So I don't want to see you being pushed around by him anymore. You know that when you look at your own kids, don't you? They don't really miss Paul, do they? My mother-in-law said, looking at the twins who were playing with each other at a short distance away. I'm so grateful to have met some really understanding people, let alone my parents-in-law. My eyes were welling up with tears. Everything became clear to me now. I decided to let out my feelings for my husband that I had been keeping bottled up. That day, I went home and waited for Paul to return back home. When he came home a few hours later, he was looking around the room. Oh? Where are the kids? Your parents are looking after them. Oh, I see. I need to talk to you. Is it about what happened today? I have decided to divorce you. Huh? What are you saying all of a sudden? Are you mad because of what happened today? I have a position to keep in the company, you can understand that, right? Every little bit counts. Huh? I'm divorcing you because of all the little annoying things that piled up in me about you has exploded. I have put up with you not helping me with anything until now. I have accepted you when you pressured me to quit the company, but I'm just so fed up with your attitude about trying to show off to other people. So, I am divorcing you. I've already decided with that decision. My husband's face was twitching while he heard what I had to say. Wait a minute. What about the kids? Don't you think it's pitiful that they're still that little and don't have a father if you divorce me? Don't you think they don't want a father who's just there? They don't even come near you and you don't recognize who is who, right? You better stop joking around. Who the hell do you think I am? An old man just trying to show off. It's not a good idea to joke around at a time like this. I'm quite serious though. Show me a photo of the twins. I'll guess it right. And if I guess right, we won't get divorced and you and I will stay married. Alright then, fine. Then, show me a photo of them. Get a photo from your phone. Huh? The photo of the twins on your phone. My husband freezes. You don't even have it, do you? The photo of the twins. That's just a coincidence. You're just an unfit father. You haven't taken a single photo of them in 3 years, and that's your answer, right? Besides, I know you're hiding something from me. Huh? You are, aren't you? What? How do you even know about that? Of course! My friends are still working for the same company as you. Come on then, say it yourself. If I say it, then will you reconsider the divorce? Then no. No thank you. I'll say it myself. I heard that you were demoted and had your salary reduced for sexually harassing a new employee. You hide the truth and spend your days off at the horse races and boat races. What a great life you're living, huh? My kids don't want a father who was demoted for sexual harassment. Well then, call me when you sign the divorce papers. I am so sorry. My husband was on his knees crying, but I went through with it and left the house. Well, it also felt good that my knee hit my husband's head as I was leaving. When I returned to Jane and Phil's house, they welcomed me with a victory sign. And when I told them about Phil's sexual harassment incident, they were beyond stunned and filled with anger. When my husband followed me, Jane threw a holly ornament at him, telling him not to ever come back. Holly is to ward off evil at Christmas, you know. I love this part about Jane. After that, Paul seemed to be shocked by what was thrown at him, so he signed the divorce papers and put them in the mailbox. With this, my husband and I were divorced. My friends who know about this divorce incident have told me to get child support, but I haven't done so to this day. This is what I intended to do. I am going to raise my sons without getting any penny from him. I know him. Even if I claim for it, he's just going to argue back saying, I raised them too. I don't even want to get any help from that guy. And now, I am living with Phil and Jane, and that's because I'm going into training. They said they want me to manage and take over the cake shop in the not-so-distant future. In order to respond to their wishes, I have asked them to help me raise the twins as I will undergo the training. Even now, my sons never once talk about their father, and they are full of energy. My life is going to be fun from now on. I am glad that Lisa was able to get a divorce before the twins got hurt even more. I guess a bond can be built even if there is no blood connection. I hope everyone in the cake shop is smiling. Thank you for watching until the end. Please subscribe to our channel. We hope to see you in our next video.